think over. So normally if you're pondering something or you're thinking about doing something, for example, where you want to travel this summer, you would get together with your friends, you would talk about it and think about it, and you would ponder. So you would be thinking over what you want to do or where you want to travel this summer. So my wife could ask me, like, honey, where are we going this summer? I would say, I don't know yet. We're still thinking it over. And then work out. Normally a math teacher gives you a very difficult problem or homework assignment, and you have to work all of the problems out. So the math teacher can say, I want you to work out problem 1 through 24. So by working them out, you're thinking about them, and then you're going to try to solve them. To break out. Normally if people are in prison and they're very angry and they want to escape, they find a way to break out of prison. There's many movies made about this theme, like the Shawshank Redemption, where the hero breaks out of prison. And so if you watch the movie Shawshank Redemption, you could see a real actor breaking out of prison, meaning escaping. To break up. If you break up with your girlfriend or boyfriend, you literally end the relationship for some reason. And it's normally very sad. It'll be a very sad day for you. And so if I see my buddy and he's really sad, I say, why are you looking so sad? Why are you so down? He could say, I just broke up with my girlfriend. And then come in. This is normally what you hear when you knock on someone's door and they open it for you and they're expecting you. They normally ask you to come in. It means to enter their house. So you knock on the door, the host will open it and he'll say, come in, please. So the next one is to dress up. Normally if you go out to a nice restaurant where there's a certain type of dress code, you have to dress up, meaning to dress formally, wear, nice, elegant clothes, not your ordinary, clothes that you would wear when you walk to the corner store. And so I'd say to my wife, tonight we have to dress up because we're going to a 5-star restaurant. Eat out. So I normally eat at my home Monday through Friday, but when Saturday comes around, I eat out. Means I go out away from my home to some cafe or to some restaurant to try different foods. So Saturday is usually the day where I eat out. So Saturday evening, I tell my wife, get dressed, dress up a little bit, because we're going to go eat out at a restaurant. And then fall down is the next phrasal verb. And this normally happens in winter, when it rains at night or if it snows, and the following morning, the streets are very icy and very slippery. And so people don't know, and they walk the way they normally walk, and they're not very careful, and they fall down. And the next one is to go on. Normally, if I have a student reading and I want him to continue, I would just tell him, go on reading, go on. And then if you're moving house, if you're moving from one apartment or one house to another, you move into one house, but first you have to have your friends help you move out of wherever you're living. And this includes moving furniture and big things. So first you move out of a place, and then you move into another place. To show up. Today, a friend of mine, he showed up at my doorstep completely unannounced, and he just rang the doorbell. And he came into my house and he said, I'm hungry, feed me. And so he showed up out of the blue. And so when my wife comes home, I'm going to say, you wouldn't believe who showed up at my house today. Sit back. My friend has a bicycle, and it's not a traditional kind of bike. It's a bike where you sit down and you sit back, and it's like you're laying down and the pedals are way out in front of you. And so you can cycle while you're sitting back, and it's like a very relaxed type of cycling experience. Start over. If you do some kind of math problem improperly, or even if you start reading a novel and you don't understand what you're reading, it's good to go back to the beginning. So going back to the very beginning is to start over. So if I see that you screw up a math problem, I would say, well, go back and start over and do it again. Stay up. So as you guys know, the World Cup of football is happening, But the games we have to watch very late at night because of the time change. Well, tonight the United States is going to play Ghana at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to have to drink lots of tea and coffee in order to stay up, meaning to not sleep, in order to watch the game. To drop in on. To drop in on is when you go visit a friend's house. You could be invited or perhaps you're not invited, but by dropping in, you're going over to their house to be a guest. And so if I leave my house, my wife can ask me, honey, where are you going? I can say, oh, I'm going to go drop in and see Vitalik, meaning I'm going to be his guest for a certain amount of time. Yeah, and so I would tell my wife, if she asked me where I was, I would say, I dropped in on Vitalik and I was there for 3 hours. So drop out of is when a person gets tired of school, they're not interested, they don't like reading, they don't like the teachers, and so they quit. And by quitting, they drop out of school. And so I could say to my buddy, did you hear about Jason? He didn't like school and he dropped out. And they say, oh, what is he doing now? He's working at a gas station. So to goof or to fool around. Usually young teenagers do this when they act foolishly and they get very silly and they laugh and they scream and they perhaps don't respect other people and they act kind of like the clown. So what are they doing? They're goofing around or they're fooling around. So normally the father will say, Melvin, stop fooling around or I'm going to spank you. Get back. Well, if you travel somewhere, if you travel to a different country, you have to return to wherever you came from. And so if my friend Arthur traveled to Spain, but then he finally came back to Moscow, and then I see him, I would say, oh, when did you get back? And he could say, I got back this morning. And get back meaning he returned this morning. Get through with. Every 3 weeks I give my students a test, and it takes about 2 hours for my students to get through with the test, meaning to work through the whole thing to solve all of the problems. And so I tell them at the beginning that to get through this test, it's going to take you about 2 hours. So I know this guy who's in love with technology. In his car, he has literally 4 computers. One computer is right in front of his steering wheel and it shows him where to drive. Another computer shows him where he's backing up. Another computer is filming everywhere on the road where he goes. And another computer is collecting his telephone calls so that if somebody calls while he's driving, he can talk. So he will not even drive to the corner without these 4 computers. Since he's in love with technology, he's always running out of money, which means he never has quite enough money. He's always running out because he's addicted to technology. Sign up for. Usually, if you go to a cruise ship, the cruise ship will have many different forms of entertainment and different classes that people can take for a week or 2 weeks, such as yoga and scuba diving and drawing or meditation or a reading group. And if you want to be a part of one of these groups or clubs, you have to sign your name, which means to write your name on a piece of paper. So we would call this signing up for. So I could say, Mom, what did you sign up for? And she said, well, since we're only here for a week, I signed up for a basic yoga class. Come along with. If you're with your buddies and you're going somewhere and you want another person to join your group, you can say, hey, come along with us. We're going to the stadium to watch the game. So to come along with is for somebody to go with another group of people and they're actually going somewhere. Okay, so the next one is come over. If I want people to visit my house, I would invite them. And then they in turn would come over. And by coming over, they would visit my house. So I can tell my wife that, oh, we're having a guest today. Diego is coming over with his wife, Raquel, and we're going to have tea. And then Diego can say, afterwards, he could say, I stopped by Evan's house, or I came by Evan's house and we had tea together. Cut out of. Normally, if you're reading a newspaper, there's lots of different articles. But if there's one article you're very interested in and you want to keep it, you take a pair of scissors and you cut that article out. So if I see somebody doing this, I say, well, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, I'm cutting out an article about the economy because I want to show this to my teacher. So to find out about. If there's some kind of special or even secret information or any kind of information you want to know about something or somebody, you have to find out. And so even if you don't know what the capital of Argentina is, you could go on Google or you could just take a map and you could find the information out. And after having found out the answer, you would know that the capital of Argentina is in fact Buenos Aires, which translates as good air. So Friday nights, I normally like to get together with my friends. The phrasal verb is to get together. This means a group of people, normally friends, they get together, they join, they become, and they have a party together, or they drink tea together, or they watch football together. And so the noun form is called a get-together. So I say, oh, I'm having a get-together at Igor's house. That means people are getting together with a kind of common cause. Go over to. So to go over to is to literally leave your house, and let's say you're going to another house. So you can say, honey, I'm leaving. I'm going over to Maxime's house because we're going to watch a movie. So go over to. Next is to hang out or to hang around with. Normally, whoever your friends are and whoever you spend a lot of time with, this is the person or these are the people whom you hang out with or you hang around with. And your father can say to you, don't stay out late and don't hang around people who smoke cigarettes. Keep away from. Sometimes you could see a sign that says, keep away, angry dog. That means stay away from my property. Or if there's some kind of danger in a certain place, or if there's a dangerous neighborhood, your father would say to you, keep away from that neighborhood, it's very dangerous. That means to stay away. Set out for. I normally hear this when a person is just beginning a type of journey. And so if they're beginning a journey, they're about to leave and go to some other place. So what are they doing? They're setting out for some other place. So if you're traveling from Moscow to Crimea, you can say, I'm setting out for Crimea, or I'm setting out right now on my journey.